Hey, everybody. Welcome into Rally Cap. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and in the comments, tell us, were you shocked that Venezuela walked away as the World Baseball Classic champions? I feel like a lot of people were. Parker, you're probably one of them. First reaction, initial reaction, what did you think of that final Venezuela-USA World Baseball Classic game?
I was disappointed because I wanted the United States to win, but I wasn't disappointed for the country of Venezuela, for the team that won. They played an
Yeah.
amazing tournament. They were amazing from front to back. Um, at the end of the day, every team had their own like kind of identity. USA was like this calm, stoic, and like business, and almost kind of like quiet panic toward the end there because it
Yeah.
was like really underperforming. Japan's always like this quiet but intense. And then, you get the Dominican Republic and team Mexico and Puerto Rico and Venezuela, and they're also so fired up for the game of baseball. Um, and I think that the team that brought the most energy and like put the most into this tournament ended up winning. I think that the team that was able to give their relievers back-to-back days, the team that was able to go out there and like understand that what they were doing on the field meant more to their country than the other team. I think they went out and they won, and that was awesome to watch. I was really happy for the Red Sox players on the Venezuela team, like between Ranger Suarez and Wilyer Abreu. Like they had a great time winning the World
Yeah.
Baseball Classic, and it was fun, man. It was an unexpected tournament, but it was certainly fun and what everything that I love the WBC for.
Well, and it's exactly what is this outcome is what the World Baseball Classic was built for, right? These one
Yes.
game eliminations deep in the tournament, anything can happen. And that's what makes it all the more intriguing as a baseball fan because we know that does not exist in Major League Baseball. But Parker, since we are U.S. centered here, a lot of people that watch us, listen to us, obviously were invested in this U.S. team. And you said something interesting a second ago. You said that this U.S. team, there was like this quiet, kind of stoic attitude about them. And this was a really funky WBC for
Whoa.
this for Team USA in a million different ways, and we're going to go through all that here in a second. But I, it it just seemed a little off from
Yeah.
out of the gate, and so just let's walk through this, and let's kind of start with the biggest thing that happened over the course of this tournament for Team USA, and that was this whole Mark DeRosa and the team not realizing kind of the elimination implications in the pool round. So, what did you make of all this? Was this an overreaction? Does it matter? Does it matter now that they made it to the last game? I mean, what do you think?
I think it matters. Yeah, I think it matters a lot. Uh, Going in 4-0 to the knockout round would have been nice. It would have given them a better seed. Who knows what it would
Yeah.
have done in terms of changing their opponent that they would have faced. Um, but I will say that Mark DeRosa and his handling of the whole situation with the elimination or punch ticket and the quotes on Hot Stove saying that they wanted to win the game even though they had already punched their ticket, when in fact they hadn't. I think all of that is action, and his handling of it post incident is actually
Mm,
really indicative of like kind of how the U.S. came into this tournament. It
yeah.
really did feel like, now in hindsight at least, that the USA chalked it up as, we're making it back to the finals no matter what. It's just there
Right.
that we have to handle business. Um, and Mark DeRosa kind of came off as that way the whole time, a little bit, especially after those comments, and especially when it's like, we're carrying Clayton Kershaw just to never use him. We're carrying Paul Goldschmidt simply because he's a right-handed first baseman. And, maybe that pool's narrow. Like, you don't have a ton of right-handed hitting or first baseman that play decent defense that are American. Like you're getting
Yeah.
very deep into the well there. But to start Paul Goldschmidt in a game when you haven't clinched over Bryce Harper, like
Yeah.
leaving Cal Raleigh out there to do basically nothing for literally nothing for the entire tournament in terms of offense. Pinch hitting Byron Buxton. late in the championship game when he hadn't gotten a hit in the tournament. I don't know, man. Some of his
Eh,
decisions and the ways that he handled situations during the WBC really left a sour taste in my mouth.
yeah, and I think it did for a lot of fans, and it's not even, and I this is not a bashing session for Mark DeRosa. You and I have a lot of respect for Mark DeRosa. Really like the
Yeah.
guy, really like all that he does for the game, and I still think there's a future for him as an MLB manager. But
Okay. I don't.
you really,
I have changed
you
that
think
opinion.
you think this one thing out of his whole baseball resume squandered those chances?
I don't think that it stops him from being a bench coach for 5 years before he goes and becomes a manager.
Okay,
Um,
well that yeah, different. That's a
I
different
could
question
see
though,
him
right? Like,
doing that still, but he's not getting a
yeah,
managerial
yeah.
job next year based on this performance, I think.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Those are two different questions. I think if you're asking me, could he find his way into a manager role despite this? Yes. The
Mhm.
qualifier, of course, is via what path, right? And I
Right.
think he's going
Yes.
to have to prove himself, like you're saying. But going back to Team USA, outside of just DeRosa and how he handled the whole classic, as the tournament went on, I know we
Mhm.
expected Team USA, when you look at all these lineups up and down, to be the strongest lineup, to come out and be the juggernaut, to be the team that had the firepower. As they went through the tournament, that slowly disappeared. Like they were not the offensive force that we thought they
Not
were
even
going to
close.
be. They survived because of their pitching, and because of other folks' lack of offense, right? So, I just something was off the whole time. Like I win this tournament and I thought, wow, this Team USA is going to be so fun to watch from the first game to the seventh game or whatever. Like I just didn't get that. Like I thought we were just trying to like white knuckle it through the whole damn thing. That's how it felt.
Yeah, for sure. And there's some stuff that like happened with the pitching and the handling of the pitching staff and stuff like that that is not Mark DeRosa's fault. I've seen
Yeah.
so much online about why wasn't Mason Miller in the ninth inning of the championship game because the Padres said not to. And like
Yeah,
Mark
unless yeah.
DeRosa, if he expects to get this job again, which he has to manage, like he's asking for the job again in the next WBC, if he expects it, and he has already said he would do it 100%, then he needs to be the guy that's able to work with all the other teams. You don't make enemies and then expect teams to give up their players in the future. If you expect Mason Miller to be on the 2029 WBC roster, you treat him the way that the Padres asked him to be treated this year. So while I bet you Mason Miller would have rather been out there on the mound as well, Mark DeRosa
Yeah.
certainly would have rather had him on the mound. Yeah, man, I think that you have to listen to what the teams say that they're going to do. Um, and the U.S. wasn't the only team with these restrictions. I do think that a lot of these teams are actually ignoring restrictions that MLB teams are putting on them because there are a lot of big league relievers that were put out there on back-to-back days during this tournament that may burn out in July. But
Yeah.
they won a WBC or they competed in a WBC, so we'll see. I don't know. I think the U.S. offense was always supposed to be the thing that carried them because in weirdly, it's like the opposite. For pitchers, it's like you're very cautious. You don't want them too involved in the whole situation because they could blow their arms out. For hitters, it's like get them at bats, man. Get them at bats, let them
Mhm.
time up, fast pitching. I won't say big league pitching because a lot of the pitchers they were facing, frankly, weren't big leaguers yet.
Yeah.
Um, so when things like the Great Britain game and the USA putting up 15 runs against Great Britain happen, it's like, oh, wow, this team, you're right. This is crazy star power. Can't wait to see this happen. And then you realize how fickle that is when you finally face big leaguers against Team Italy, Michael Lorenzen, 65 pitches of shutout baseball, and you're like, oh no, we're screwed. When you have an offense that was supposed to be the pulse of the team that's not being the pulse of the team, it makes the pitching staff that was already the question mark of the team having to carry you be even more volatile.
Parker, there is one thing we kind of can't ignore that we have to talk about, and that is Aaron Judge. Now, I know this is something that's been on your mind. Now we have two examples with our eyeballs where we see Aaron Judge not step up in big moments. We know his track record in the postseason with the Yanks has been abysmal, and now we see it again in the World Baseball Classic. I mean, Parker, the guy stands up there stone cold, frozen solid, not swinging at good pitches. Like, what do you make of this?
Yeah, I don't know. I think you make a great point when you say we have two instances now because it's been in the World Series and now we've seen in the World Baseball Classic final. And frankly, throughout the knockout stage of the World Baseball Classic, as well as the postseason in general, Aaron Judge is like hitting like a buck 80 in games like that in his career. And he had 2 hits in the entire knockout stage. And this is the guy who played every single inning of the World Baseball Classic and was hitting third in that lineup for the entire WBC. So when you only have 2 hits and I think it was like 14 at bats, maybe 12 at bats, I'll generously say it was 12 at bats in the last 3 games. Like, that's bad. That's not good, and that's not what you need, quote unquote, Captain America. That's what, remember that post, the post of him doing this and it said Captain America?
Yeah,
That's not what was advertised to the fan. And if you expect, United States of American fans to be buying into the WBC as a product, which is still a struggle and is going to be a struggle for the foreseeable future, you can't have Captain America putting up numbers like that in games that matter. And this is kind of the thing, like you said, we've been talking about for years. Like, is Aaron Judge the kind of the second coming of Alex Rodriguez in terms of he just won't really show up in the playoffs? Maybe he has, if this is an Alex Rodriguez arc, then he'll have that one World Series or that one playoff run where he absolutely tears the cover off the ball and he finally does win his ring. But we're at the point now where Aaron Judge is older than we think he is. He's 34. And so far, all he's managed to do is not be very good in the playoffs and lose a World Series. It's just like it's time to start clicking if you're going to finally click, Aaron.
absolutely. Depending on when you're watching this, we are going to be doing our MLB 2026 season predictions, and we're going to talk about Aaron Judge and how that may impact how the Yankees do this year going into the postseason. But Parker, last thing on the World Baseball Classic, now that you are removed from it a day or two here, and you admittingly are much more into it than I am. You love the World Baseball Classic. What
Mhm.
is there anything about it that you would change having seen how this year went? Do you like how it's formatted right now, or is there an opportunity to kind of change it for 29?
I like a few of the ideas that have been floated about having it be an all-star week thing. That sounds good. Problem is, like, I don't know if that works in practice because if you think you're not going to get a ton of participation now, wait till a pennant race is starting to heat up. And in the middle of July, teams are really not going to want to give up key arms to go play in a tournament. Um, there's been, like John Smoltz said, maybe it could be USA versus World. I don't love that because look at the pride that Venezuela and the DR and Puerto Rico have for their particular nation that they represent. I don't think that it would be quite the same if it was just World versus USA. One thing that I think is really good, and I think it was Max Scherzer on Foul Territory that pointed this out. What if you just waited another week? What if the last 2 weeks of spring training were the WBC and then these guys just
Oh,
report for opening day 2 days after the championship game?
huh.
Personally, I think that that's not a bad idea, especially because by the time the WBC has finished up, everybody's in America. Like all the teams that are still
Yeah.
playing baseball games are playing them in America. Your bodies have adjusted to the time zone. The pitchers having one more week to build up. Like we can see the build up happen throughout the WBC. The pitch limit going from 65 pitches to 85 pitches to 100 pitches. Like these pitchers are allowed to go basically the distance, or at least as much of the distance as you're going to be allowed to in a preseason tournament by the end of the tournament. So what if we started with the 85 pitch limit? What if pitchers were just at 85 pitches? Because I will say, like, as much as I love the WBC, the Red Sox are going to feel the effects of this. Wilyer Abreu just had one of the most emotionally draining experiences ever, I'm sure. Yoshida, I talked about this before the tournament even started, has had to go back and forth from Japan to America, I think 2 or 3 times in the last couple of weeks, which is that I've done that flight. It's very long. Um,
Hmm.
And then also Ranger Suarez is not even built up past like 65 pitches right now, and we're a week away from his first start.
Yeah.
So will he even make that first start? Like, that's going to affect me as a Red Sox fan. And now I'm at the point where, since the WBC's gone, all I care about is the Red Sox, and it starts to be like, wow, okay, I start to see what everybody was concerned about. So I think that maybe moving it back a week, that would be the only thing that I would have. That, or yeah, leaving it where it is, or moving it up a week and kind of butting right up against the beginning of the season, or maybe just move opening day to like April 2nd for once during
Mm.
WBC time frame, and then like let the WBC fill in that time at the end of March, and then the season goes like an extra week. Everybody loves November baseball. Like, I personally, for me, when a season doesn't go into November, I think that it's like weird, and nobody wants to see playoff games played in September. So I think that if you can fulfill all of those things by just moving the WBC forward a little bit, I think that that works out.
All good ideas. Definitely something that we'll think about. And hey, we'll do this again in 3 more years here in
3 years.
2029. Folks, let us know in the comments, who is your World Baseball Classic MVP. Let us know. Thanks for joining us to talk baseball here on Rally Cap.